The Power Pod is an exclusive WSB radio production.
Is that true? I don't know.
Well, for me, it's been pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's been pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, look, I just get it. I don't know. I've never been with a man before, so I
Good answer.
Okay.
This is The Power Pod with Randi Okray, Christina Aicklen, Nicole Bennett, and your host, WSB's Jared Yamamoto.
Wow, what a week it's been, and welcome to the Power Pod. I am Jared Yamamoto, and you can hear me every day on the Von Hessler Doctrine on WSB Radio in Atlanta, Georgia. As you guys know, I do I do not do the Power Pod by myself. I almost said I did, but that would be so mean to
It's
y'all.
all about you, Jared.
No, it would never be all about me like that. That's Randy-O over there. Randy-O, hanging out in the corner. How are you doing, Randy-O?
I'm feeling kind of frisky today.
It's going to be a fun day, and there's look, the newly married Nicole Bennett, Nikki something over there. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. It's been a fun week. We're in the midst of May Madness, and I see Christina Aicklen over there holding her phone up in the air and doing all kinds of stuff like that.
I don't have a phone.
How are you doing? Welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me again. I can't believe I didn't get kicked out yet.
You're part.
Know what I'm saying?
You're part of the show, so I don't know. You think I sent you a formal invitation by?
I thought I was going to receive a letter in the mail.
Here is your letter, ma'am, and let me send it to you via postage. Yeah, no, it's you guys are the heart and soul of the show. You guys have done an amazing job. The feedback's been great. People love y'all. If anything, they hate me, so that's okay.
I believe that.
Randy-O, you're supposed to have my
I'm
side
sorry.
on
I
this.
said that out loud. My mic's on? Okay.
Look at this, all this hostility here.
Recording now.
I was mentioning at the beginning of the show that again, it's been just this crazy week. We're in the midst of May Madness, where I've gone to Sweetwater 420 Fest, Shaky Knees, Shaky Beats, and now this upcoming weekend I'll be traveling down to Gulf Shores for the Hangout Music Festival. And this is the first time where I've actually had a little injury in the middle of it, where I pulled my calf. My calf muscle of all things.
How do you do that?
And I don't know. I've done this. This will be my third or fourth year that I've done this in a row, and I actually sustained a bit of an injury, but luckily things seem to be on the mend.
Jared, how did you do that? What happened?
What were you doing?
Were you dancing too hard, or
Maybe at Shaky Beats this weekend. I know I definitely danced my face off out there, but it was fun. And and you know what? The great thing about being young, like we all are here, is that we can recover fast. I'm already feeling much better than I was at the beginning of the
I
week.
saw you limping down the hall a little bit.
Well, hey, listen, it's all about effect. I was hoping that you guys would come up and provide me some aid. Being the nice.
Randy doesn't look amused.
What?
The nice, caring ladies that y'all are. But this week's been crazy because we started with our childhood hero, Bill Nye the Science Guy, telling us that the world is going to end. In this amazing cut that he sent, he was on with John Oliver over the weekend, and we have to hear the theme song just to give it justice.
Oh, please.
The same guy.
Bill. Kind of Shaky Beats-esque.
Yes.
Think of that.
Science rules.
Too early.
Good beat drop.
Yeah, it's so great times, right? Bill Nye the Science Guy. Anytime a teacher would roll out the TV to our classrooms,
yeah,
it was always a great day. But now, he's trying to stay relevant and trying to maintain us as viewers or as people that he influences. He wants to continue to influence millennials. And he went on the John Oliver show over the weekend, and he said this.
Here, I've got an experiment for you. Safety glasses on. By the end of this century, if emissions keep rising, the average temperature on Earth could go up another 4 to 8 degrees. What I'm saying is the planet's on fire. There are a lot of things we could do to put it out. Are any of them free? No, of course not. Nothing's free, you idiots. Grow the up. You're not children anymore. I didn't mind explaining photosynthesis to you when you were 12, but you're adults now, and this is an actual crisis. Got it? Safety glasses off, motherfucker.
Oh, wow.
So keep in mind, the same guy that was doing this with us is over here cussing us out, telling us why we're terrible human beings for heating the planet. Now, I don't want to get into the climate debate. We had two presidential candidates announced earlier in the week, too, that they're running for office. We had Montana Governor Steve Bullock and New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announced on Thursday that he's running for president.
I believe in an America where every child has a fair shot to do better than their parents. But we all know that that kind of opportunity no longer exists for most people. For far too many, it never has. That's why we need to defeat Donald Trump in 2020 and defeat the corrupt system that lets campaign money drown out the people's voice, so we can finally make good on the promise of a fair shot for everyone.
As if we don't have enough people that are doing this in this insane news cycle that, it is kind of like a festival, right, teens? I mean, who's headlining at this point? Well, what would it be, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders headlining at this point?
I kind of want to make the poster now, make a poster of who's the lineup for.
Least interesting poster of all time. It's a bunch of old white men.
Yeah, it really has become that. I just don't understand how, as the 22nd or 23rd person, you're like, oh, you know what? What I have to say is so much different than these other people. Like, you got to be kidding me. So I'm not even going to touch it this week because, you know what? There's 23 of them. It looks like Biden's running away with things at the moment. It's really early, but we're not even going to touch that. And you know what? The other thing that's going on, too, that people have been putting this in my head about are all these abortion laws that are being passed throughout the South.
I'm tired of seeing
I have avoided this as much as I could just because when you have an opinion about this, it gets nowhere on it. And as a man surrounded by 3 women in the studio right here, I feel like it's inappropriate for us to talk about it in here just because I have my viewpoints on it, and I think that a lot of listeners to WSB would disagree how I feel about this. And, you know, it's all a game. People get a little too serious on both sides about it. It's all posturing to get Roe v. Wade back to the Supreme Court. So you know what? I want to get to what my real outrage is this week. And you know what that is?
What is
you know
that,
what? So again, Bill Nye's telling us the world's dying. 2 more presidential candidates, you know, that basically makes a festival lineup card. We have and then we have all these abortion laws being passed. But you know what I'm the most outraged about? It was the Atlanta Hawks landing the
Atlanta Hawks.
The 8th pick. The 8th and 10th picks.
Yeah.
We had that close of a chance to get Zion Williamson, and we ended up
Bye-bye, Zion.
getting the 8th and 10th picks.
Whoa,
Jared.
Jared.
You okay? Bring it back in. It's okay.
It's okay.
You sound like Bill Nye right now.
Okay.
I'm so mad.
This moment.
Excuse me, Bill Nye. I'm Jared.
So I'm over here watching the TV, glued to the draft, the NBA lottery, thinking because the Hawks had a 10.5% chance of getting it, much higher than the New Orleans Pelicans that got him.
Let's give the Pelicans a chance.
And you know, then I hear this.
The 8th pick will be made by the Atlanta Hawks.
Oh, thanks. And even the announcers like the Atlanta Hawks. Come on,
Okay,
get
listen,
excited.
for somebody that doesn't understand basketball all that well, so we get to choose what time, when we want to pick. We can choose being the first pick, or do we have to be the first pick?
So what basketball is trying to do, the NBA is they're trying to prevent teams from intentionally losing at the end of the season. So what happens is you take the 14 worst teams and you put them into a lottery system.
Oh, okay.
Now the 3 worst teams have the highest odds of landing the first-round pick.
And where the Hawks is that?
The Hawks were the 5th worst team in the league last year, so they didn't have the best odds, but they had very good odds of landing the first pick. Now, the Pelicans had only a 7% chance of landing the first-round pick, so they had even they had a better season than the Hawks did. So that makes me even angrier.
Jared, isn't it the life of an Atlanta sports fan?
Yeah.
I know, but I'm tired of saying that, though. Come on, we have to be able to fly above. We have to be able to persevere through this.
I think we have to just ignore it, and then one day it's just going to wow us, and we're going to be like, wow, we're great again. Wow.
We were that close to getting one of the – Zion Williamson is probably going to be the best basketball prospect that we see in the next 5 years at least. Now, granted, I'll take a deep breath. We do have the 8th and 10th picks, and the draft is better than I think. As I grit my teeth, it's better than I think, but it made me upset. It made me think that it was rigged, and I went all sportsman. I went complete sports fan on it. I was mad, yelling at the TV, getting all upset about it. And I know, Randy, that your first story, you've got something about sports over there for me.
Yeah, well, it's not so much about sports, but it's actually about like what you're giving me all that extraness like men people do. So, ladies, let's talk about myths with these darn men. You with it, Nicole? You with it, Tina?
I'm so here.
So there's an article. It's about a myth buster. And let me tell you what these men folks are saying. Men don't think about sex every 7 seconds. We're more likely to be thinking about football instead.
See?
Said no one ever.
Again, with all that news going on this week and everything going on in my mind, what was I thinking about, Randy?
Okay,
I'm thinking about the Hawks.
This is this weekend,
I'm still
Jared.
thinking about it. I'm still mad about it.
So you ain't had no thoughts about today at
well,
all?
I mean, I have, but
Exactly. Well, let's keep it going with those myths. Okay, so Jared is saying he doesn't think about it every 7 seconds. Georgie Porgy, you're still young, so I know it's on your mind, homeboy.
He's
okay,
shaking his head yes.
But here are
Absolutely yes.
Yep, gonna say yes.
So here are other top 10 male sex myths. You guys can tell me if they're true or not. Number 1, men think about sex every 7 seconds. Hell yes, they
Definitely
do.
true.
It's not a myth. Number 2.
except during the NBA draft.
Okay, I'll give you that. Number 2, big hands or feet means that you have a big ping-ow.
That was a great censorship.
Is that true? I don't know.
Well, for me, it's been pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's been pretty accurate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I just get it. I don't know. I've never been with a man before, so I
Good answer.
Okay.
Good
Number
answer.
3, you'll play badly at sports when having sex the night before.
Absolutely not.
Heck no, they be making a
no.
touchdown. You know
Think
what I'm
about
saying?
Touchdown.
Tiger Woods was playing great
Hell
when
yeah.
That's
nobody knew a thing.
Okay, number
That's all
4,
I'm saying.
oysters make you horny.
yes.
No,
Yes.
it doesn't
They
work that,
don't?
does it?
Really?
I mean, I just want to. No,
I just want the oysters.
I'm just gonna be quiet. My mom's listening.
actually, you know what? I think it does. I think it is what aphrodisiac. I think
Shout
it
out to
actually,
Randy's mom.
Yeah, I do
Love you,
think
girl.
I do think it works. I think
Okay.
that I think that the chemicals are flowing. If you know what I mean.
Okay, Jay,
Yeah,
ready?
for
Okay,
sure.
number
I know.
5.
I'll play along with this. I think I can do this now.
Okay, women peak sexually later than men.
Yes.
Absolutely.
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 Yeah, 100%.
Okay, number 6, men have never cheated on their partner. Said no one ever again.
Does it really say that?
It says that because
Okay,
you know a
this is
man made it this
baloney.
crap. All right, let's move on to number
Never
7.
cheat. What are you talking about? Man's never cheat. It's
okay.
always the women that
Wait
cheat.
a minute, Jared, did you come up with this
Right.
list?
Jared, you
'Cause you're
wrote this.
really
Oh
enthusiastic.
no.
Okay, number 7.
All right, I'll see y'all later.
Here we go. Good
So
sex
gung-ho.
has to be spontaneous. No, it doesn't have to be spontaneous, but it is
Wow.
pretty awesome when it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Said not me, Mom. All right, and then number 8. Good sex needs to last a long time. Heck no.
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 I guess I be wearing that thing
Yeah.
out.
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Number 9. Men having a higher sexual drive than their partner. I think they usually kind of be ready to
I
go.
don't know.
I think it's subjective.
Oh,
I
okay.
that I've heard from
girl.
other people
Yeah, you
that
a
I
weird
You're
don't
married
man.
now. You're spoken
That's
for now.
true.
Your man can allows you to speak about this kind of stuff.
He does. He gave me permission before the show. I have my slip.
Signed form.
I do. I have my form with me and everything, Jared. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate
Good.
your disclosure form. There you go.
Yes.
And the very last myth, you can burn a lot of calories during sex.
Heck
Yes,
yes.
you can, unless you land there like a walrus on your back. But if not, you get it.
What an image! Wow. And on that note, we'll be right back here on the Power Pod.
The Power Pod on WSB Radio. Join the show at 800 WSB Talk or leave a comment using the open mic feature on the WSB Radio app.
Man, lots of zoo animals brought up here on the Power Pod. I heard something comparing sex to a walrus in the last segment that I'm not exactly sure how it ties into everything. But you know what? I've got imagery. I know that you guys out there listening are understanding 100% what we all were saying here. But Tina, I know you've got a good story over there. What's going on over there?
Yes, I do. So this week, I'm going to bring it to a local story here in Atlanta. We have Music Midtown, which I'm sure all of you from the South are aware. A huge festival that's here at Piedmont Park locally. And they announced the lineup. And a couple of issues around the lineup, who's coming, who's not. But I will tell you guys, the headliners are Travis Scott, Billie Eilish, Panic at the Disco,
Okay,
middle
fun.
school fave, Lord Huron, Charlie Puth, Lizzo, Vampire Weekend, really eclectic crew
I
on
like
the lineup.
that. That's not a bad lineup.
I like it too, Jared. Thank you. But others are not so pleased. In
me.
fact, no, Randy's not pleased. But it's okay.
Why don't you like it, Randy?
I don't even know those other people except for Travis Scott.
And
Am I
Travis
showing my
Scott
color?
Travis Scott's been going everywhere.
I know.
He's too
He's from
saturated,
Texas.
oversaturated. They're having him at Hangout. They had him last year at another. He's been at Coachella. Literally, name a music festival, Travis Scott has probably been there. I haven't seen him live yet. Would love to see him live. I'm actually thrilled for the lineup, but other people who have come to this festival consecutively for the past 15 years. The festival started in Atlanta in 1994.
Really?
Tickets used to be as low as $22.
Oh,
Now you guess how much they cost
Guess
now?
how much they are
this
now.
year?
They're $150.
What?
Over 100 for one.
General admission?
Yeah, general admission.
General
for
admission,
the,
no VIP, no beer,
Oh, heck
nothing.
no.
So I really think Music Midtown needs to realize like the original people who go to Music Midtown are probably in their 30s and 40s and probably have no idea who Billie Eilish is. Just
Question
saying.
2, is there any classic rock group that's going? Because I know they always have that one
Vampire
group.
Weekend. Vampire Weekend
Jared,
is
they're
definitely.
a little more alternative,
But I'm
like
talking,
new age.
I saw Elton John a couple years
Oh, I bet that
ago.
was
Yeah, but Vampire Weekend and Elton John are the same, right?
Are they?
Basically, yes.
What?
Interchangeable. Elton John writes their songs, they write his
that's what I
songs,
thought.
So
You
you're
talk
right,
about-
sorry.
Talk about a year like 2011 Coldplay headline, Black Keys.
Right, oh,
I
yeah.
would
I'd
like
love to
Coldplay.
see it. Oh, I would have cried my eyes
And they
out.
had Hall & Oates one year too.
Really?
You know,
Right,
it was so
like,
much fun.
I would love that.
So fun.
I've seen
Yeah.
Journey and Ludacris. I think they headlined 2010 for sure. I mean,
Yes.
that's a good lineup. I don't know. I just think that people are they're really dogging on Billie Eilish, right? That's the
Yeah.
one that they're hating on. But Billie Eilish is on fire now. I mean, she's going to
Define on fire.
well, some of her music videos she might be on fire, but I think
Bill
that
Nye Fire or
Oh, not
Bill Nye,
not
Nye,
Bill.
the science
Yeah,
guy,
not-
Billie Eilish.
Not that kind of fire, but she's she's really gaining popularity. In fact, if I remember correctly, she was at Music Midtown last year.
She was, but the fact that she was like the lowest on the list of the lineup last year and now has jumped to a headliner is pretty.
Oh, that's kind of good.
pretty good for
her,
her,
right?
Like, I mean, she's doing well.
I think that for anybody out there that's feeling a little, they're not feeling the Music Midtown lineup as much, you have to give Billie Eilish a shot because it was fun last year.
Yeah.
And I think when you're the headliner, obviously you get more of the light show, and you also get oftentimes they turn your speakers up more. So I think Billie Eilish will be fun. Vampire
Yeah,
Weekend, I'm sure, will be great. Don't be hating so much. It's going to be a fun time. I think the whole Power Pod crew should do it this year. What do
Anybody
you
paying
think?
$150? No,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
what
paying $150 to go to Music Midtown.
Don't worry, we're gonna find a way.
We're gonna get some
argue the
sponsors.
price.
All right, okay.
Hey, Music Midtown, if you're listening.
Yeah.
and you like walrus sex, then we have.
And on that note, we'll be right back.
From Atlanta to beyond, it's the Power Pod.
You know, one of the things that we do on the Power Pod is every week we deliver to our listeners out there. They're always asking for new ideas, just begging us all the time. And they're like, please, please, please give us more. And I'm always like, okay, all right, we can try to get at least a new segment in per week. And you know what? This week we came up with the most original idea possible. And it's right here for you.
Georgie Pooh, are we expecting guests?
Yes, we are, Randy O. Now let's see who it is.
Wait a second. So this kind of sounds like we're starting a porno here or something.
Yeah.
Randy, what were you doing with Georgie over there?
I mean, we were having a sleepover.
Apparently. So I guess this means that we have a guest in house because over here we've got the great English Nick from 97.1 The River, one of my radio family
You're so
and
kind.
brethren.
Here's my question. When you said you had a guest at the door and it was getting a bit porno, it's like, oh, I'm the fireman. Where's the fire? Let me put it out with my hose. I thought that's that kind of porno.
I mean, it got a little steamy. I mean,
it's the doorbell and it's the way you guys are.
Excuse me, this is a G-rated show, okay?
okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Georgie Pooh, are we expecting guests?
Yes, we are, Randy O.
That's not G-rated.
Now let's see who it is.
That is the beginning of a
George-
great cheesy porn right
That's
there.
George's masculine voice there taking over.
George, if you don't get into this business and do some super great production when
Come
you're done with this
on.
intern, you have a great voice for radio, mate.
Good, Georgie Pooh.
He's doing a great job. But we brought you in
Yeah.
today, Nick, because you are our first official Power Pod
Aw.
guest. So Bravo to you. Bravo.
You guys are here all the time. Yeah, this is what you do once a week. Yeah,
we come in here and we it's a weekly recap show, and we take the news of the week and have some fun with it. But I wanted to bring you in, first and foremost, because you have an amazing story about how you got here. But secondly, because...
You mean from Candler Park tonight, driving my car?
No, not from Candler Park, per se. That was quite an adventure.
Yeah,
but coming from England to the U.S. is an amazing story. And also, too, since I know you, if I crash and burn during this interview process, then, hey, you know what? At least it was with English Nick, so I'm okay with things. Everything will be all well. But... You have an amazing story because you've been in rock radio now in Atlanta for how long?
Almost 20 years, yeah.
20 years.
Started at 96 Rock. Although I started in doing promotion, so I wasn't on the air until 2000, but it was 1999, November of 99 when I first got involved. Knowing nothing about radio as far as how it worked, just that I liked rock music. So it was kind of a dream come true to get involved, and then just kept learning and doing stuff and finally getting on the air.
Now, did you start off at what was the old 96 Rock?
Yeah, when it was owned by J-Corps, and it was on Claremont Road in the Triangle Glass building.
Oh, wow. So we're talking way back.
And we were on the 12th floor. The building didn't have a 13th floor. It was a dark, dingy little studio. Not much bigger than this, actually, the air studio.
Hey, don't make fun of the Power Pod studio.
I'm just saying, not as light and breezy as like the WSB studio or the River studio these days. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Actually, it was worse than this studio. The air studio at 96 Rock back in those days was smaller and darker.
Rewind.
And God knows what they found under that board when they moved from there to Peachtree Street, you know.
So maybe the reason why they moved was because of you. Is that what you're saying? Because of you,
No.
they were the reason why they had all that success over there at 96 Rock. Huh?
I wasn't on enough. It was Clear Channel bought them, and they had to move into the building with everybody else.
So did you start off in the promotion side of things, or did you go
driving vehicles, hanging banners, putting up PAs?
So wow!
I used to do that here.
See?
Yep.
So that is a quite. I mean, that's a path right there to be where you're at over weekdays on 97.1 The River. You know, starting off driving the van, you know, raising your hand when you needed to go out there. Randy O's got a similar story to that too, where you know she was out there driving the van, doing promotions,
working the river event.
I think she was my remote tech.
I
from time to time,
was. We used to work together. Yeah.
So show up with all her hair and stuff and change it every half hour.
All right, not too much.
All right,
All
the hair
right.
looks good today. The hair looks good,
Hair looks great,
Randy.
Thank you, TT.
Love it. Love that.
English Nick, so then you're an inspiration to other people around you. Like other people have been following what I like to call now the English Nick Trail.
The arc, if you will.
The arc. Oh, okay.
And
I like that.
Don't get me wrong. There was a couple of years when the Braves came to a certain station, and I was doing nights, and I was let go. And then the crash happened, like 2008, 2009. They weren't hiring in radio for a minute. And then thanks to Dave Clapper, I got back on the air here. So that's how
Shout
that
out
started.
to Dave Clapper.
Dave Clapper,
Name
Scamper
drop.
Van.
So let me ask you a question. I remember when a certain station, a certain competitor, was flipping formats, and they had this vote. And I remember I was super into it. I thought it was real. Like you were able to select the format of the station based on voting and pushing the number in. You're like, okay, if you want a comedy station, you press 1. If you want a rock station, you press 2. If you want a classic hit station, you press 3. Yada, yada, yada.
So are you talking about the classic rock station that went away and became the active rock station?
Yes.
I don't remember them doing that.
No.
But I was fired. I was fired from that station. So,
this is the first time I remember hearing you, and I must have been in high school at the time, maybe even younger than that, was when that station decided on their next format.
2006, that was the end of 2006.
I believe so. You were on that format, and lo and behold, I hear this guy who's got this English accent on this station, and I'm like, the first thing that I did, of course, was, oh my gosh, he's faking it. Why is he faking this English accent? I mean, you always had great things to say in terms of what events were coming up. I thought you were super informed. I never tuned away or anything like that. But I always thought, I'm like, this guy he's pulling it off. He's pulling our legs. This is completely
He's
fake.
having a laugh, isn't he? Yeah. There was. I probably meet 50% of the people who meet me for the first time do say that. They thought when they first heard me that I was faking it. And I've told you this story before. I think it's because I'm not from London, mate. I don't sound like that. I'm not from Scotland, Birmingham. So it's not an accent.
So good.
The West Country accent where I grew up. Oh, are my darling, down there near Bristol, like that.
Ooh, I like that one. I like that one.
I don't think a lot of people know that kind of pirate West Country accent,
I like that.
unless you've seen like Hot Fuzz or something like that, because that comes up in that a lot.
I really liked that last one you did.
Oh, are my love, that's right, you are.
Look, you're making a melt, Nick. This is the thing about the Power Pod.
There was a recent study that said, in this country, that Texas had the sexiest accents.
I'm from Texas. I
do you agree with that?
West up, Texas.
Really?
But Randy, I don't think you really blare like a Texas
It ain't real country unless I get real southern, because it can get like that, girl, but I just try to turn it on off.
On off. Wow.
So when people are coming up to you and they're saying this to you, I mean, it's got to get old, right? It's got to get. I'm English, like why would you say this?
It's like anything. If you can have a conversation and you can talk about it and they understand where you're coming from, that's great. But there are some people who just they won't believe it. Like, they still think I'm faking it. I'm like, here's my passport. What do you want from me?
Which is unbelievable.
And
because
look, my accent has changed over the years. I've been here 23 and a half years now, so it's changed a little bit. There are some Americanisms to my accent now.
Yeah, I mean, use some ain'ts here and there.
Ain't there, that's right, yeah. But ain't's kind of a British thing,
no,
too.
Nick, do that your country accent that you do sometimes,
Hey, y'all, what's going on, honey? Come on.
God, there he is.
I'll do that southern thing.
I love it.
Southern thing.
A lot of the British actors who are on pretty big TV shows and movies here, like, the guys who are on True Blood, the guys who are on Walking Dead, who are British, they say that the southern, like the South accent is really easy to pull off because it's very close to the British accent.
Really?
So people like, the guy who plays Rick on Walking Dead and stuff like that.
So you could have just made things a lot easier, though, and stayed in England. What made you decide to come to the U.S.?
Well, it was for love. I fell in love with a lady who was living in Atlanta and was on vacation here. We spent every day of the vacation together, even though I had a buddy here who'd invited me to come over. And then I went home for a couple months. She came and visited me in England. A couple months later, I was like, that's it. I'm done here. I'm moving over there. And then a year later, we were married, and it lasted for like 2.5, 3 years. We were almost killing each other by the end of it. But no hard feelings. She's a great person, and that's what brought me here. And then once radio started, and then I had my green card and stuff. It was all good then.
And this is a real story. Nick used to work on a farm when he was younger.
I grew up on a farm. My dad looked after sheep all of his life. He's retired now. And so I grew up on a farm. When I left school at 16, I was working on dairy farms. I was milking cows. I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning, milking, let's say 60, 80, 100 cows. Take a break, go home, come back, do it in the afternoon, jump in a van at night, go do a gig at a pub. So you guys who think I work hard right now, nah, not really. Because there's nothing
you never stop now.
No, I know, but radio's not hard. Radio doesn't seem like work to me.
Yeah,
like,
it's fun.
When you work on a farm and you're dealing with, dealing with animal husbandry and calves being born at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's what'd you say? It's the worst?
Sorry, I was just.
No, I mean, that was a way of life for me. That was what my dad did, and I loved it and wanted to do it. And then I got into music, and
I think, Nicole, are you trying to suggest that you want to be a farmer?
It just sounds really intriguing to me.
Let me tell you.
Animal husbandry?
That threw me off. Like,
looking after animals and taking care of animals. That's the animal husbandry.
I do know you are a big animal person.
Animal wifery, if you want to be PC in this day and age.
2019.
Husbandry or wifery, you got to say both, I guess.
You are a big animal person, though. You love dogs.
Yeah.
We talk about this all the time.
Yeah, we rescue dogs. I love them.
I love that.
Yeah.
What else do you not do? So, just for people that if they're not sure who English Nick is, obviously,
there's only a few of them at this point.
Right. Yeah. I feel like everybody in the city knows who you are. When I go out around town and I say, I'm going to go hang out with my buddy English Nick, like, English Nick, I love that guy. He's awesome.
Me
of course,
too.
I'm half joking about that. But
I'll tell people at work, like, hey, I'm hanging out with English Nick on Saturday. And they're like, what? You're like, the English Nick?
So it's so funny to me because you know me. I've always thought of myself as your friend on the radio. I don't have this huge, I treat people the way I want to be treated. And I don't think of this as like, you're just some famous dude. It's just what I do, And then the meddlesome thing, the live band karaoke thing we do at Dark Horse Tavern.
Yeah, Dark Horse Tavern.
Yeah. That started 16 years ago, twice a month, and now it's 6 nights a week. And there was a point where more people knew me from meddlesome because they saw my face than knew me on the radio. And now that's kind of flip-flopped a little bit because I'm on the radio more. So there's all that. And then there's Dr. Bombay's, my tea shop in Candler Park. Which
I love Dr. Bombay.
Well, thank you for that. And,
tea and crumpets.
No, we should get some crumpets. There are no crumpets. Yeah. That would be a great breakfast item.
English Nick.
Come on. Are you from New York now? Come on.
Come on, Nick.
Come on, crumpets.
So basically, if you're in the Atlanta area, it's really easy to find English Nick because he's either in the Highlands at Dark Horse Tavern doing live band karaoke several nights out of the week.
Yeah.
Obviously on your radio dial at 97.1 The River.
That's right, middays.
From 10 to 3 every day.
Sometimes on the Von Hester Doctrine.
Yes, you are. We love you on the Von Hester
English
Doctrine.
Nick.
Although the ego really does come out on the Von Hester Doctrine. He tries to put us down all the time.
No, I don't. Eric does a good job of that himself. He puts it. There's been times in that room where I felt sorry for you, Jerry, because Eric.
He always comes for Jerry.
Oh, Eric goes after him, and like there was a moment a couple weeks back where me and Autumn were just like, oh man, this is gonna be bad.
And oftentimes I make myself an easy target. And you know what? I'm the young guy coming in there. I'm 30 years old. All of you guys have known each other for years and years
That's
and
right.
years. And I'm just appreciative to be part of this family now. Because I consider, do you consider me part of your radio family?
I do, and I think that show wouldn't be what it is without you. Obviously, Eric is a super talented guy.
Jared, that's so nice.
Wow.
But I watch you when you're off the air and you're producing. You really do a great job. So Eric's really lucky to have you as a producer, I think. And you really, I know in the beginning you weren't quite sure how to handle it because you'd never dealt with a shock jock guy coming into news talk. But you guys really got to a point where I think you really understand each other, and he's got you working really hard now. So
we're kicking butt, but it's all because of the mentorship that I've had around us. I mean, come on, we all consider English Nick radio family. I got a little selfish there by saying he's part of my radio family. All of you guys have been in the building.
Can
all
I
of us
add something?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to say, English Nick, like I've always, thought you were really cool, but it's like I learned more and more about you, and I think you are a very likable, stand-up, hardworking man, and I just, it's a privilege to really get to know you, like seriously.
Yeah, you're welcome. And me and Nicole have great Game of Thrones conversations, especially of late.
Dissect every episode. It's so much fun.
How do you find time to watch shows with the schedule?
That's so true.
Look, I have dogs. I live by myself. I have no family here. So when it's time to crash, get in front of the TV and binge some Black Mirror or some Game of Thrones or whatever. So there is time. It's just managing your time. That's what it's all about.
Well, I want you to also give a little plug to your girlfriend who just got signed to Base Nectar's label.
That's right.
No way.
Oh yeah.
This is amazing news for her too.
Sammy and her brother Sean are in a 3-piece thing called Reptile Room. They've had a band called Alchemy for years, but their buddy Billy is the third wheel in Reptile Room. They've been working at this really hard. Like they've been treating it like a day job. Like we go to Billy's house, or they go to Billy's house and they write and they rehearse and all this stuff and record at his house. And now they're on OM Records. Is it OM or OM? How do you say it?
I call it OM.
OM Records, which is Base Nectar and a bunch of stuff that I've never heard of, but I can tell this is a really big deal. So I'm really happy for her. Like she's been working on this all the way. Yeah, it's awesome. It's big things ahead for Reptile Room, I really think. Because they've already recorded stuff that sounds amazing. The first video and the first song that's just dropped, they did the video themselves on Stone Mountain. It looks amazing.
Now, we talked earlier about Music Midtown 2019 in the lineup, and I think that hopefully, with this signing here, we'll see them Reptile Room on.
Maybe not this year, but I could see them at Shaky Beats in the future, man, because it's a very electronic thing. It's an electronic thing. There's a lot of drops, Jared. A lot of drops. They can get it going.
You do know that I love my EDM, but you know who the quiet one who likes EDM in this room is Nicole Bennett over there. She loves some EDM over there.
I do.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So don't just lump me into one category over here, English Nick.
I think me and you were having a conversation post Shaky Beats the other day where I was asking you if you've recovered okay. And Nicole thought I was talking to her. She's like, oh, yeah, I've recovered. Oh, yeah. Because I forgot she was into it. You know what I'm saying?
That festival's a hard one to recover from.
Of course, yeah. And all those shirts off and all that, those camel packs and all that molly. I mean, I get it.
Camelback aversion is so funny to me. I love camelbacks, especially at a festival.
Look, seriously, I do get it. It's just something that when I was a kid going to festivals, those things weren't invented yet.
What is that for those who don't know? Like Randy, what's a camelback?
Camelback is just it's a water container that you carry on your back. That's kind of like a mini backpack.
That's called a camelback.
Yeah,
basically like
that's the brand.
I've seen that before.
People use it when they're hiking and working out, right? Yeah.
It's the cheaper way rather than buy like a $6, $8 bottle of water at a festival.
Yeah,
you can.
Christina's got a Dasani water bottle in there. A Dasani water bottle at a Music Midtown, Shaky Beach, Shaky Knees is going to be at least $8. So, but what they do is they have these fill-up stations, and you just go around and Nick was giving us a hard time. He's like, "You're over there with your little Camelback," and I'm like, "Look, I'm saving money. I've got to be smart. We work in radio. We don't make that kind of money."
It's hands-free too. I mean, the straw just comes right
in your mouth, huh?
Right?
I also
He's locked and loaded. You see him over there.
I also forget that I had VIP at Shaky Knees, so I had.
Oh my God!
So all you got to do is tip the young lady or gentleman who's handling the beer tub, and you get as many free beers as you want. So
it must be nice.
I was trying to hook up with you and get you some free beer. Remember that? And we didn't hook up.
Listen, there's always Shaky Knees 2020
coming up.
There will be a lot of fun, and
I had so much fun at that festival this year. Partly because my family was in town from from England. It was just awesome.
And it was your birthday weekend.
Birthday weekend, that's right. It was great. It was so great.
If there's anything going on musically in town, English Nick is the guy to talk to about it. English Nick, obviously great to have you on the Power Pod for the first time, first official guest. We're gonna have you. We're gonna have you on more in the future.
I like
if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. You know me. I'm up for anything. So yeah, come on, bring it on.
Come on, bring it on. Let's go.
And we'll be back with Randy's Rundown.
The Power Pod on WSB Radio. Join the show at 800 WSB Talk or leave a comment using the open mic feature on the WSB Radio app.
Man, that was a lot of fun to hang out with English Nick, our first official guest here on the Power Pod. And you know what? I think we succeeded. I don't think we crashed and burned while we had him on there, right, guys?
Oh, not at all.
It was
He
great.
loved us.
You know, I think we should have more guests on. What do you guys think?
We totally should. It's more interactive.
I think it's fun. I think we can have guests on, and that way we can deviate from our new things because our listeners always want new things, and they're just so demanding. And you know what? I want to give, but all they do is take. So we just have to be able to help them out where we can and do what we can. But Nicole, I know that you have a story over there for us. Go tell me about it. What's going on?
Okay, anybody looking for a summer internship, Natty Light wants to hire someone to basically drink Natty Light all summer. You're going to be a brand ambassador. You're going to go to different events. I don't think you're allowed to drink anything else. I'm not 100% on that. I'll have to check with my sources.
They have that new strawberry Natty Light that's actually not terrible.
Really? Oh, I did not know that.
It's not terrible. I'm not going to lie. I had it for the first time, and I don't know if I would necessarily go out of my way to buy it, but if it's available, I mean, why not, right?
Right. It sounds like you would be a great intern for them, Jared.
Maybe.
That was a great little
plug.
plug.
You know what? Maybe I should just stop this whole radio thing.
I know, the quote is confidence is a must and just be cool. So I'm thinking, Jared,
be cool.
No, you know what? I think I just had an epiphany. I should stop doing radio altogether and just, you know what? I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to get an internship.
Oh, God.
And then I can be a brand ambassador for some kind of beer company like Natty Light, and then I could start all fresh.
Jared, I would rewind the tape.
But Jared, you forgot the most important thing. You got to be cool.
Oh.
Sorry, Jay Ready.
Work on that a little more.
Well, I guess on that note, we'll just keep doing our thing. It's time for Randy's Rundown!
It's Randy's Rundown.
All right, here we go, girls. Let's get into it. First story. Helen, Georgia. Police defend arresting F-bomb dropping man.
Yeah, did you hear this guy? Oh, this guy's a piece of work.
They don't tell you, but ignorance of the law is no excuse, so I will side with them on that. I do think it's kind of lame, but at the end of the day, they got a job to do, so it's one of those deals that really sucks, but I'll come down and pay it later, I guess.
Oh, sorry. But when you've been taken into custody or you're getting a citation written out from the cops, just shut up and get it done. There's no point. There is no need for your commentary. He was streaming this on Facebook.
That's where he messed up.
On Facebook Live, you annoy the cops. You're not going to win that fight. Not worth it. What's next?
Okay, I can't do no more English, Nick. Okay, here we go. Britney Spears' manager says she may never return to the stage.
That's sad.
Britney.
What's going on with her? I think Miley Cyrus was saying that she is in some kind of prison state or something like that.
I think she's just a little. She needs some time.
She's had this episode before. She had this in the mid 2000s. So we wish the best for Britney. Hopefully we get some more details about it. What's next?
Okay, everybody who ever wanted to be a mermaid, here is your chance. Florida City is offering mermaid swimming classes.
I want to be a mermaid.
Under the sea. Okay. You want to be a mermaid?
Yeah, you would be a beautiful mermaid.
Oh,
We'll put a link up on my Facebook page. What's next?
The koala. Did I say that right?
Yeah, koala bear.
Oh, like in Australia?
Yeah,
okay,
like in Australia. Yeah.
The koala is now functionally extinct.
That's crazy.
Well, they're not the smartest of animals.
They're cute.
They're cute, but all
You
they
say that. Have you ever heard two koalas fight, though?
Oh, it's
You
just
look,
like crazy.
Oh, my
It's like,
gosh.
they get really...
It's intense.
It's aggressive.
Yes. It's the weirdest sound.
There's a reason why they're dying out. They're kind of slow. They're natural prey to most things. Listen, they're cute.
Don't
Please,
say that to a koala.
Let's keep them in the zoo so that way they don't go extinct. What's next?
Okay, keeping it local here. Georgia Aquarium named one of the coolest in the world.
It is one of the coolest.
So
Yeah.
cool.
We had a great time. We know some people over at the aquarium. They've taken care of us many times here at WSB.
I love the aquarium.
Great folks. It's a good time. If you're in the Atlanta area and you're stopping through, you should definitely stop by the Georgia Aquarium. What's next?
The last thing, Kelly Ripa. Hey, Kelly. She trashes The Bachelor, calling it a gross show.
How
Kelly,
could you do that?
Girl, stop it.
My God.
She just wants to be the Bachelor.
I
mean, Bachelor.
Ooh,
Wait a second. Hold on. In this day
It's
and age,
2019. You could be the Bachelor.
she
What
could
if I
be
wanted
the
to
Bachelor. You could be the Bachelor.
you.
You're the one that's gender shaming over there. And on that note, we need to get out of here because everyone's going to start coming after us. And I have to apologize for what Christina suggested there here at the end. You know what? We're going to do what we always do here. We're going to put our hands here in the middle, and we're going to hope that nobody comes after us. We're going to hope that there's no lawsuits.
I'm ready to fight.
Because, she's out of control over here. Hold on a second. They're trying to break down the door. All right, hold on. Put them in quick. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.